The information security is not just a single domain. Basically, it is made from the multiple domains. The domains something like network security, physical security, risk management, cyber security, disaster recovery, and BCP, which is business continuity plan, and so many other domains, right? So if we take an example about the network security itself, that network security itself divided into multiple technologies, for example firewall, routers, switches, IDS, IPS, etc. So when we are going to take care of the technology behind one of the domain, we are basically going to take care of one of the domain of the information security, right? But let's say if we only focus upon the network security, that is not something going to protect your company data or company resources, right? So you need to focus each and everything when it comes to information security. Now let's try to understand the definition of the information security. So as per the definition, it says like information security or InfoSec refers to principles, practices, and measures which is basically designed to protect the data and information systems from unauthorized access, disclosure, alteration, misuse, destruction, or disruption, right? So basically this is like long definition, so let's try to divide into like multiple part. So this says basically information security refers to the principles, practices, and measures, right? So this comes under what? So information security says like I'm following these three techniques, which is principles, practices, and measures. But why, right? So it says it following these three techniques because it would like to protect data and information system. But from whom? So it says it would like to protect the data or information systems from unauthorized access, disclosure, alteration, misuse, destruction, or disruption, right? So if you try to understand this definition as a whole, it is trying to basically protect data and information system from unauthorized access, or maybe hackers or attackers. It can be outsider or it can be insider as well. You know, we are going to discuss about the insiders maybe once we move ahead, right? So for this, it is uses its own principles, practices, and measures. So let's take an example from our real life situation. Let's say you have 10 kg gold in your house for example, right? If you have, then it's good, but let's assume that you have 10 kg gold, right? And you have planned to go on vacation in couple of days or maybe a week, and now it is your task to that you need to protect that gold while you are away. So you can actually, you know, put this gold into a bank, but at this point let's try to understand what are the precautions we will take in case we would like to protect this gold while we are away, right? So in order to protect gold, it is going to follow the three methods, which is principle, practice, and measures. So let's try to understand how all these techniques is going to help to protect the gold, right? So what is the principle? So principle here is to protect the gold. That is the only principle, right? Now in order to protect gold, I'm going to follow the practices. So what are my practices? So under the practices, I'm going to think, okay, if someone is going to come inside the house, then I would like to protect that gold from the outsider, right? So I'm going to put that gold into some kind of locker so that no one can has access. But let's say if that locker, I don't want someone to see that easily. So I'm going to put that locker inside one of the, you know, like cupboard or something like that. This comes like under principle and practices. But now what about the measures? Let's say when you are away on vacation, what if someone's trying to break into your house? So what are the measures you're going to take? At that point, what you might do, you might going to put some, you know, lock on the door. If you have like double door, then you are going to put a proper lock on the door. And at the same point, you might, if you have like proper budget, you might put some CCTV camera outside so that you can see if anyone is coming, you know, outside of your house or something like that. Or you can also put the CCTV camera inside your house, and you can have some motion detector. So these are all kind of, you know, like strategy you will apply in order to protect that goal, right? So this is the same strategy applies under the information security. Now let's try to connect this scenario with enterprise environment. Let's say you are working in an office, right? And for any company, like for example small, medium, or large company, data is like the goal for them, right? For example, sales data, marketing data, or accounting data, financial data, whatever it is, right? So if that data get leaked, it is not good for the company. So they want to protect that data from outsider, as well as if someone has inside would like to leak that data to maybe competitor, right? So you are going to make sure that that data, for example sales data, is going to be confidential and only user would like to access has to be from the sales department only, right? Not anybody else. So what are our step would be to protect that confidential file which is maybe saved on the server, right? So here basically we're going to follow the three methods coming from the information security, which is principle, practice and images, right? So let's try to protect these particular data by using these three methods. So first come which is principle. So what principle says, like in order to protect your data you need to follow the principle which is like CIA Triad. We will understand the CIA Triad as we proceed. So under this it says like CIA Triad that you need to have the confidentiality. For example, if someone tried to access this file, only authorized person can have an access to that sales data. For example, people from sales department can access that sales data, not the accounting department, right? So that's about confidentiality. Now under principle it says like integrity. If someone is going to be make the changes under the sales data, for example if you would like to send this data to some one of the investor that you would like to show, okay, our company is doing this and that much of sale, you're going to make sure that data is not tampered with someone else. For example, you are sending the data from your company to another company to the investor. Someone is maybe watching your email and making some alteration into your sales data. That's not good, right? That is something come under integrity. So you need to make sure that has the integrity. Now third one, which is availability. So the principle says you need to make sure the data is available. So for example 10 persons sitting inside the sales department, right, and they are accessing one of this file and they're making the changes from their desktop to this specific file. Now let's say somehow that server goes down, then how are they going to access that data, right? So you need to make sure that file is going to be available, whether the disk is going to be crashed, whether that server is going to be crashed or whatever it is, right? You need to make sure that file is going to be accessed by all this user, right? So that is come under availability. So these three concepts basically come under the principle of the information security, and this is just one example about the principle. Now as per the practices, it is going to perform certain tasks which is based upon the principle. For example, it is going to take care of the access control so that only the user sitting inside has an access to that specific file. So they're going to make sure that file is going to be accessed by the username or some kind of the system access control list or whatever like precaution or the access you can provide on that server, right? Only that machine or that user has an access to that specific file, right? And at the same time you are also going to provide the data encryption. So if someone from the outside has an access to this file, as per the practices, the person shouldn't able to read that specific data. If someone is trying to open that data, it should be like not readable format, right? And that is the reason you are going to provide the data encryption on that file. Now another practice you can apply, which is data backup and recovery. For example, someone accidentally deletes the data on the sales, right? So what will happen, because everybody will lose that specific data, right? So that is the reason you are making sure the data is backup anytime, maybe every day or maybe every hour, or depend upon the sensitivity of the data. So you are going to take a backup of that specific data so that if someone deletes that file accidentally, still you have the backup inside your server. Now what are the other techniques you should use in order to protect data? Because this data we are trying to protect from the inside only by providing the access control or maybe data backup and recovery. But what if someone from the outside, like attacker or hacker, is trying to get an access to this specific data? So what you're going to do, basically you're going to install the firewall so that if someone is trying to hack into your system, the firewall is going to make sure the outsider is not going to be hacked, right? And at the same time you are also going to enable the IDS, IPS, or if you have next generation firewall, it has combination of the both features, which is also called IDPS, right? So if someone is trying to make any malicious attack, the firewall understands there's someone which is trying to make some malicious activity and it blocks the access right away. So that is something the detection and the precaution is going to take care of at the same time. At the same time, you are also going to install, for example, as a physical security, you are going to put some CCTV camera that if someone from the outside, going into your server room, he shouldn't just go and shut down one of your server, right? So that is something measures you are also going to take as per the information security. So this is like a couple of example I'm giving you, because there are many examples we are going to talk about as we proceed, but this is just a definition. We are trying to understand what comes under the principles, practices and measures, right? And another important thing is we shouldn't treat one domain as an individual, right? For example, the physical security is one domain, cyber security is another domain, and the network security is another domain, right? These are all multiple domains. They're basically interconnected with each other, because as per the information security, if you are taking care of the one domain but not taking care of the other domain going to impact your business or the data. So that is the reason you need to make sure you are going to take care of each and every domain. Then only you are going to take care of the entire information security as a whole domain. All right, so we are only getting started about the information security, and as we proceed we are going to have like more and more examples, right? So this is for now, and I will see you in the next one.